Hey guys, Sean here. Welcome to the F1 Word and to the preview for the 2025 Qatar Grand Prix, the penultimate race of the season and a race that could see Lando Norris crowned world champion despite what happened post-Vegas. And that, rather unusually for a preview, is where we will start on the off chance you missed the news. So long after the checkered flag fell on Sunday, both McLarens were disqualified from the race result after the cars were found to be in breach of the technical regulations, with the measured plank thickness on both cars less than the required 9mm as defined in the technical regulations. McLaren argued that mitigating circumstances existed in that there was additional and unexpected porpoising at the event, limited opportunity to test due to the weather on day one, shortened practice sessions, and added that the degree of the breach was lower than prior breaches of this regulation in 2025. The FIA, though, stated there are no provisions in the regulations or precedent that would allow them to hand out anything other than the standard disqualification for technical breaches, but noted that it strongly held the view the breach was unintentional and there was no deliberate attempt to circumvent the regulations. That disqualification of both McLarens meant that George Russell was promoted to P2 and Kimi Antonelli to P3, helping, of course, to cement their second place in the constructors' standings, and bumped both Haas cars into the points too, helping them climb to P7 in the championship. But more importantly, it also means that Max Verstappen's win in Vegas put him level on points with Oscar Piastri and 24 behind championship leader Lando Norris. What a final two race weekends this could be. But now it is on to the 5.419 kilometre, 3.36 miles, 16 corner Lusail International Circuit for round 23 of this 24 race season. There is just the one DRS zone available for this one, and that is down the start and finish straight with its detection point just after turn 15. And looking at the circuit, the run to and through the first corner is without doubt the best spot to try and make a move on a track that is very tough to pass on, although turn 6 could offer up an opportunity or two. We'll find out very soon. Now, as was the case last time, there aren't many historical stats for Qatar, given the sport has only raced here on 3 previous occasions. But from those 3 races, we have had 2 different winners, with Lewis Hamilton taking victory in 2021 and Max Verstappen winning the last 2 events. And did you know that as well as 2 different winners, we've also had 3 different pole sitters and 6 different drivers have finished on the podium in Qatar? Incredible stats there. But what's even more incredible is that 2 is the minimum number of pit stops each driver will have to make on Sunday. More on that shortly. 3 is the number of dry tyre compounds available across a race weekend. And 6 is the number of dry compounds in the whole Pirelli range for now. Oh yes, that's right folks, it is a triple segue into tyre talk time. The compounds available for this one then are the hardest in the Pirelli ranges, so they are the hard C1, the medium C2 and the soft C3. And if you're hoping that strategy will make up for a potential lack of overtaking opportunities, I wouldn't get too excited. Because for the second time in 3 events at the circuit, Pirelli has announced mandated stint lengths for all tyres across the event, meaning every set of tyres supplied to the teams at the start of the race weekend will only be allowed to cover a maximum of 25 laps, which will be counted cumulatively across all track sessions, including laps run under the full or virtual safety car. However, laps to the grid, formation laps, and those completed after the checkered flag in the sprint and the Grand Prix will not be included in that count. Why? Well, the manufacturer explained that analysis of last year's tyres showed that several of them, particularly the left front, had reached the maximum level of wear. Combined with the high lateral energy, that resulted in an increase to the structural fatigue of the construction, which is why we have these mandated stint lengths again. Of course, as frustrating as that is, there will still be an element of strategy involved, but we already know everyone is pitting at least twice before we've even seen a car on the track, meaning there will be no reward for those who are able to make their tyres last and stretch out a one-stopper, or even for Kimi Antonelli to try out his own tyre whisperer techniques this time around. But for what it's worth, last season's winning strategy was a one-stopper with race winner Max Verstappen running a medium to hard race, changing tyres on lap 35. And the weather for this one is maybe, as you'd expect, set to be very warm and dry, so don't expect any rain. And the latest forecast as of Thursday morning is on screen for you to have a look at right now if you're interested. It is also worth a mention that Pirelli has announced some very sad news this week. A true icon and legend of the sport will no longer feature in F1, with the famous C6 street tyre compound being dropped from the tyre range for 2026. The manufacturer explained that the compound failed to meet the required delta and tests showed the time gap between the C5 and C6 prototypes was too small compared to the others without offering any significant performance advantage. Very sad news indeed. I know many of you were fans of that compound and it will be sorely missed. Farewell, C6 compound. We barely used G. Anyway, your schedule for this one is, as it is the final sprint weekend of the year, a bit different to the usual format. That means the one and only practice session of the event will kick things off on Friday at 1:30 p.m. GMT, and that is followed by sprint qualifying later that afternoon at 5:30 p.m. Saturday's action starts with the sprint race at 2 p.m. with Grand Prix qualifying underway at 6 p.m. and it will be lights out for the race on Sunday at 4 p.m. and once again that is in UK time. And a quick reminder that I will, all being well, be live across the weekend over on my channel, link in the description if you'd like to subscribe, with the sprint quali, sprint race and GP quali watch-alongs, and then I'll be back here for the race watch-along on Sunday. And by the way, I say all being well because my other half has been really unwell with the flu this week, so there's a chance I'll be next and that schedule may need to change, but I'll let you know if that needs to happen. Hopefully not, fingers crossed. Now, no news this week because I've been over a couple of bits already, but before we get on to my predictions, it is worth a quick look at how the title could be wrapped up this weekend. This won't come as a huge shock, but only one driver can win it in Qatar, and that is Lando Norris, so Oscar Piastri and Max Verstappen will have to do their best to stop him and take it down to the finale in Abu Dhabi next week. I'll keep it simple because it mostly is, frankly. Norris holds a 24-point lead with 25 available after the event in Qatar. That means if he outscores his two rivals by 2 points or more across the weekend, he will be locked in as the 2025 world champion, as that would give him a 26-point lead. 1 point more than his rivals could seal it too, but it's not guaranteed. So, for example, if Verstappen fails to score in his sprint and Norris wins, a 1-2 finish for the two of them in Verstappen's favour on Sunday will put him 25 points behind Lando and level on race wins. That scenario would keep Max in it, but he would need a lot of luck in Abu Dhabi. As for Piastri, though, he is currently already level on race victories with his teammate, so if Norris scores one more point than the Aussie across the event and the Brit does not win the Grand Prix on Sunday, Piastri will still have a chance of winning the title on countback. Like Verstappen, though, he would still need a big slice of luck. Hopefully, that all makes some sort of sense. The easier thing to say would be, I don't know, watch the weekend unfold and wait for Crofty to scream, "Champion of the world," as the checkered flag falls on Sunday. And if he doesn't do that, then it's going down to the wire. Right then, time for me to make some predictions. And as always, please do not take these too seriously. They're just a little bit of fun. But if you do disagree with my picks, then you can let me know yours in the comment section down below. And last time, I went somewhat bold. So as expected, it didn't go very well at all. Saying that, I got half a point for Russell on the podium, but in the wrong spot, and a whole point for Kimi Antonelli making a top 3 thanks to the McLaren disqualification, but that is it. As for this week, I am going to make my predictions based on what I want to happen for the sake of a title showdown next week at Yas Marina. I know that's not how I usually do these, and I'm sure someone will complain, but frankly, whatever, this is what I'm doing. And to be clear, this isn't some sort of anti-Norris agenda. I just don't want a dead rubber race to round off what has been a really good and unpredictable season. So, with all of that in mind, and the fact this is a track that Oscar Piastri does tend to go well at, I am picking the Aussie for sprint pole and the sprint win, but I will switch to Max Verstappen for Grand Prix pole and the race win on Sunday. As for the podium, I will put Piastri P2 and even put a little bit of faith in Ferrari, yeah, I know, with Charles Leclerc P3. And when it comes to Norris, let's say P6 in the sprint and P7 in the race for whatever reason. That would mean, if my usually terrible maths is correct, a total of 26 points for Oscar across the weekend, at least 25 points for Max, and 9 points for Lando as well. I'm fully aware that might be Fantasyland talk, but that would give us one hell of a season finale title decider. And as we've seen so often already, this year has been so unpredictable and there have been so many twists and turns, so who's to say we won't get another? And super quickly, just to round off elsewhere, I'll go with Racing Bulls as my 5th best finishing team on Sunday. And my separate bolder picks are for Franco Colapinto to finally grab a point at some stage of the event, Isack Hadjar to take a top 5 finish on Sunday, that would be great to see, and Kimi Antonelli carries on his great run by finishing in the top 3 in the sprint on Saturday. That is it for the Qatar Grand Prix preview then, but don't forget you can let me know your thoughts and your predictions ahead of the weekend in the comments section down below. If you did enjoy this one though, then please do leave a like as it really does help the channel in its never-ending battle with that pesky YouTube algorithm, and consider subscribing too so you don't miss any future videos or streams. But as ever, thank you for watching. I've been Sean, this has been the F1 Word, and until next time, goodbye.